It's time to call this December 12th, 2022 meeting of the Richfield Planning Commission to order. As a reminder to everyone attending, please address and be recognized by the chair before speaking. The first item on tonight's agenda is the approval of the minutes of the regular Planning Commission meeting that occurred November 28th, 2022. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes? Oh, excuse me. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
I second.
Is there anything to discuss regarding the minutes? If not, let's vote to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it's approved. We will now conduct an open forum, which is an opportunity for the public to address the Planning Commission regarding items not on our agenda. The call-in number for tonight's meeting is 415-655-0001. Please use webinar access code 2456-268-8131 and password 1234. If you are here in person, please sign in at the podium. If you're calling in remotely, staff will assist you when it's your turn to speak. Before speaking, please state your name, address, and the organization you represent, if any. Each person is allowed 5 minutes to speak, 10 if representing a group. Staff, are there any callers?
Chair, no, there are not.
Did we receive any voice messages or emails?
No, we did not.
Okay. It appears there's nobody here to address the Planning Commission during open forum. Our next item is to approve tonight's agenda. Do we have a motion?
Chair, I motion that we approve the agenda for tonight.
Mr. Chair, I second.
Are there any questions about tonight's agenda? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The agenda is approved. The first item as part of our public hearing is to consider an ordinance amendment aligning the zoning code with the comprehensive plan, eliminating the two-family residential MR2 zoning district and amending the single-family residential R district. Staff, do you have a report?
Yes, thank you, Chair. State Statute 473.864 requires that cities update their code of ordinances to align with their comprehensive plan. Richfield's 2040 comp plan allows for a mixture of single-family detached and attached units, such as duplexes and lower-density townhomes, within the low-density residential guiding district, or LDR. The LDR district also allows a density of 1 to 7 dwelling units per acre. The proposed ordinance amendment would bring the city's zoning code into alignment with this guiding district and would be a proactive step in furthering the comp plan goals of expanding housing choices, promoting modernization of the housing stock, maintaining affordability, and supporting attractive neighborhoods. At present, Richfield's zoning regulations prohibit the creation of new single-family lots at the upper end of the LDR density guidance, so close to that 7 units per acre. They conditionally allow two-family dwellings on arterial and collector streets only within the R district. There are only about 9 parcels where a duplex could be built without a conditional use permit in the city today. In contrast, the proposed ordinance would allow two-family homes by right within the R district, would adjust lot sizes to meet density maximums as guided by the comp plan, and would eliminate the MR1 two-family residential zoning district. Early in its history, Richfield allowed single and two-family dwellings nearly everywhere, but in 1954, the city began restricting the construction of two-family dwellings. While staff cannot speak to the motives of this change, it is worth noting that it followed shortly after the 1948 and 1953 court decisions, making racially restrictive covenants illegal and unenforceable. As staff has uncovered through working with the Just Deeds Project, Racially restrictive covenants prohibited many families from partaking in development slash ownership of a home. Improving the diversity and density of housing types in Richfield through the passage of this proposed amendment will provide more opportunities for household wealth building. This will help narrow the historical racial wealth gap and will help address housing shortages in our region. One additional but small change included in the ordinance amendment is the elimination of the term grandfathered. Although the 15th Amendment gave African American men the right to vote in 1870, many states institutionalized poll taxes, literacy tests, and other barriers to the right to vote. Some states adopted a requirement known as the grandfather clause, which only allowed men to vote if they were the descendants of a voter. In short, if you were white, you were much more likely to be grandfathered and to be able to vote. So the term grandfathered is not needed in the zoning code and can be substituted for legally nonconforming or pre-existing nonconforming. The research and review that has gone into this ordinance amendment included 3 work sessions in 2021 and 2022. A visual preference survey was also distributed to elected officials and to residents, the results of which showed a preference for minimized driveway area in front yards and for a smaller garage door on the front facade of a home. These changes are also included in the proposed ordinance amendment. Staff is here for any questions if you have them.
My first question is whether anyone called or left messages regarding this subject.
Chair Keneally, nobody has called or left messages.
Thank you. Do commissioners have any questions for city staff?
Actually, Mr. Chair, we were talking about the dual family homes. That I'm wondering, has Richfield had a discussion about auxiliary housing units like are happening in other communities? Is that something that has come up in Richfield yet, or is there any discussion or planning about it?
Yes, Commissioner Holmvig Johnson, there are you talking about accessory dwelling units, ADUs?
Yeah.
Yep, so we do allow those in the city of Richfield. They must be either contained within the existing home, so like a basement or an attic, or they can be connected to an existing or a new garage.
I have a follow-up question there. What legally delineates an accessory dwelling unit from a duplex if it's contained within the home?
Commissioner Hui, ADUs are pretty specific. They have to be between 300 and 800 square feet. The purpose of an ADU is really to be more like a one bedroom, a studio, really like an accessory dwelling unit. So it's not really, the purpose of it wouldn't be to house a family or to be a sort of a standalone unit by itself. And thank you. Part of the ADU code requires that either the ADU or the primary dwelling unit be occupied by the owner of the property.
I see in the meeting packet here, under items for consideration, it says zoning code, comprehensive plan, eliminating the two-family residential MR2 zoning district and amending the single-family residential R district. But down in the recommended action, it says eliminating the two-family residential MR2 zoning district and amending the single-family R district. Is that a typo, or am I missing something there?
Commissioner Surma, that is a typo. Thank you.
What could you clarify the meaning there?
Yes, so it would be eliminating the two-family residential district, which is MR1. And all the properties that are currently zoned MR1 would return to being zoned as R residential.
Okay.
Commissioners, is there anything else you'd like to discuss with each other? On a personal note, I remember my first planning commission meeting, not even 2 years ago yet, when we were doing this remotely. And yeah, my first meeting, we were talking with a resident that wanted to convert their garage into an accessory dwelling unit. And over the course of those 2 years since then, we've met with city council for countless work sessions and spun up a lot of great ideas for making that easier for people to live near each other. So I'm just excited to see what's proposed here.
Chair. I just wanted to say that I think this is an important step forward for the city and our residents, and just for our community in general, just to have a greater opportunity for, a small move towards more affordable housing and just a more a good way to kind of give more people the opportunity to live in Richfield and kind of create opportunity.
Thank you.
Chair Keneally, too, I'd like to point out that when going through this packet, so I was not on the Planning Commission during any of the previous work sessions that dealt with this matter. When I was going through this packet on page 39, a map that showed all the duplex locations within Richfield, I was taken aback by how few duplexes there are within Richfield currently. Only a few pockets of them, which was kind of surprising to me since I happen to live next door to one of the very few duplexes within Richfield. And I've lived within duplexes myself, within fourplexes. I've lived in 10-unit apartment buildings that were adjacent to single-family homes in the various places I've lived in before. And I think these types of dwellings fit very well into the fabric of a single-family neighborhood, and these types of uses can coexist side by side. Thank you.
Is it okay if I ask a question of staff? Through this process that we've been kind of going through for a while with writing this up, has there been given an estimate of interest from the public or developers in converting single family homes to duplexes? I'm just curious, has there been any sort of idea of okay, if this gets passed, are people waiting to swing hammers, or is this intending this to be over the next 40 years we'll see these roll over and become duplexes eventually?
Commissioner Hui, we have had a few residents who have called in asking about changing to duplexes. Occasionally there is a pre-existing duplex. I think you said you had one in the last 4 months. People are interested in it. I think we haven't had developers call in and request this change, but I think homeowners over the last couple of years, there's been a good handful.
That's kind of what I anticipate, that a number of people would be interested, but not necessarily clamoring to change the fabric of a neighborhood or anything like that. I think it'll be a slow change and evolution over time.
I've heard a few people say that, as long as there's nice mature trees around, everything looks good anyway. Do we have any other questions or comments we want to bring up? Would someone like to move for a vote?
We need to open.
Oh. Excuse me. Do we need a motion to open the public hearing? Okay, thank you. We're gonna ask for a motion to close the public hearing. It was open. I appreciate the help here.
Yes, Chair Keneally. All you need to do, which you sort of did, was announce that the meeting is open and that it is a public hearing. You can officially ask if there are any callers on the line or if there's anyone in the audience. It's quite obvious there's not. And then you just need to close. You don't need to take a motion to open.
All right. I'll check one more time to see if there's any calls on this very important subject.
Chair Kennelly, there are not.
Mr. Chair, seeing as there's no one here in person and there are no calls, I move that we close the public hearing.
I second that motion.
Approved. Thank you. Yes. Would someone like to move for a vote?
I did.
Okay. I was confused. I thought we were just told we didn't need to vote to close the hearing.
You still have to, you can make the motion to close the public hearing, then you have to vote on it, and then if it passes, the
All
public
right.
hearing is closed.
I took such thorough notes and it just stumbled all apart.
You're doing great.
You have moved to close the public hearing,
Correct. I move that we close the public hearing.
And I second.
and we will take a vote. All in favor of closing the public hearing? Once- Aye. Thank you very much. Now, would anyone like to move for a vote? Or make a resolution, excuse me. On tonight's amendment.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adapt the recommendation to and forward to the City Council to eliminate the M1 categorization and move those that zoning into R.
As described.
Correct, as described in the staff report.
Thank you.
May I just clarify the motion? Because there was a typo. So on the agenda, there's a recommended action. You could just read it. Yeah. And it is MR1 zoning district. I did that a lot. I apologize.
So under recommended action, it should say MR1. That's correct. Okay.
Correct.
Yep.
MR1, two-family zoning district. MR1.
Right. Mr. Chair, I move that we forward the recommendation and for approval to eliminate the two-family residential zoning district and amend the single-family residential district to low-density residential district, as described in the staff report.
Thank you. Would anyone like to second?
I second Commissioner Surma.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Approved. Next on our agenda are liaison reports. First up, Community Services Advisory Commission. Is our liaison present? Okay, thank you. City Council, I do not have a report to share. Housing and Redevelopment Authority, I believe, is Commissioner Stursa, and she's absent. Richfield School Board,
I don't have a report at this time.
thank you. Transportation Commission,
Chair, I do not have a report.
Chamber of Commerce,
They did not meet this past month, so I do not have a report.
do you have anybody on Sustainability Commission right now? Okay, I was. Yeah. I'm gonna make a note to revisit that. Thank you for letting me know that I let us down. We'll get there. I just know it. The city planner's report is next. Would you like to share anything here?
Chair and Commissioners, there was no city council meeting in between your last planning commission meeting, so I as well have nothing to report.
Thank you. The last thing I have to share is that our next meeting time and location will be a regular meeting on January 23rd, 2023 at 7 p.m. right here in the City Council chambers. And that's everything.
Mr. Chair, I move that we now adjourn.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned.